Hi everyone and welcome back. Today I'm making some roast corn soup. This one was inspired by my husband because he loves roast corn and he loves corn soup. So we decided to put both things together and create this. It was a kind of a rainy day and we thought it would be perfect for the weather. So sit back, let me show you all how amazing this one is going to be and how easy it is to make. Of course, you want to start off by roasting your corn. If you have leftover roast corn, that's perfect, you can use that, and you'll want to make sure it's charred all the way, really nice, but don't overburn it. So once that happens, you're going to set the corn aside and allow it to cool down. Next, you're going to place your pot on your stove, but I'm using my big green egg here. Feel free to use your stove if you don't have a grill like this. And we're going in with butter and golden ray, and if you don't use golden ray in your diet, of course you can omit it. Next goes in pimento peppers chopped, onions chopped, celery and garlic. We're just going to allow this to cook until everything smells very fragrant and the onion is tender and translucent. Slightly brown on the edges would be fine, you don't want to burn the garlic. Now I'm going to go in with my pumpkin, or you can use butternut squash and my split peas that was soaked overnight, or dal. If you forget to soak it, that's okay, you can still use it. In when some complete seasoning and some salt goes in. We're going to give this a mix and just allow it to cook in here for around 10 minutes. I like it to really fry up in there. I'm also going to add in some Caribbean citrus blend. This is a really delicious citrus seasoning and I quite love it, and I would use it in a lot of my recipes, you'll notice. So give that a mix. Now while that is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and chop up the corn. Now I like to chop these in medallions, and you can also cut the medallions into halves so you get smaller bite-sized pieces and it's easier to eat and easier for the kids to eat. Also, if you're serving or selling this, you would want to make it into smaller pieces so it's easier for the consumer to eat. Now set that aside. Once you're done chopping it up, let's check on the pumpkin. Now it's time to add the water. You want to add enough water to cover the pumpkin and the peas, and we're going to allow this to come up to a simmer and let it cook until the peas start to get tender, and this is what it would look like. This step should take about 15 minutes. Now we're going to puree this, and I'm not pureeing it very smooth, I'm leaving it slightly chunky. But if you like it really smooth, by all means go ahead, go to town on that. So now I'm going to check it, and you'll notice it will start thickening up. And if that is happening, you would want to add some water to help thin this out, because now we have to add the rest of ingredients, so you do need to add water. So I went in with the water. I'm going to give it a mix, make sure no bits are sticking at the bottom because that can burn. Now I'm going to go in with green seasoning. Add that in, and I'm also adding in 1 tin of cream style corn, and you can find this at any supermarket in Trinidad, also here in the US, Publix, Foodtown, Walmart. Also goes in 1 packet of coconut milk powder. You can get this in Trinidad or here. Also, it's also available on Amazon. It's in Foodtown, it's in a lot of these Caribbean supermarkets. Give that a mix to dissolve that coconut milk powder into the corn soup. And now we're going to add in the chopped pieces of corn. I quite enjoyed the corn, this roast corn in here. It was really delicious. So I'm adding in that corn along with some chopped carrots, and we're going to bring this up to a boil. We're going to let this cook for 10 minutes before we add the rest of veggies. The carrots, I like it to get nice and tender before I add, or halfway tender before I add in the other provisions, so that the carrot itself is not hard. So once that happens, go in with your provision. I chopped it up really small so that it cooks evenly, and I have dasheen sweet potato in there. I have 2 types of sweet potato. So give that a mix and allow it to come up to a boil, and in the meantime let's make the dumplings. So to my flour, I'm going to add in some more coconut milk powder. Yes, coconut flavor right through. And I'll also add in salt. Now, I don't put any butter when I'm kneading my dumplings, but if you wanted to add some butter, or if you wanted to add some green seasoning to this flour mixture also, you can. Add enough water to bring it together to form a firm dough, and it does not have to be a perfect dough. You just want that dough to come together. You don't have to knead it until it's very smooth. So just knead and bring it together to form a firm dough, and then once it looks like this, it's ready. So next step is flouring your work surface. I'm going to sprinkle some dry flour, and we're going to cut this into smaller pieces, and we're going to take each of those pieces and roll it into a log. If your log is getting too long for your board, cut it into a half, and then cut this up into small pieces, bite-sized pieces, or pillow dumplings I call it. And then you just simply pick it up and place it into the soup and add all of the dumplings and continue to cook until all of the dumplings start floating to the top. Once it starts floating, you'll know that the dumplings are done. Now you want to taste and adjust your salt. At this point, you can finish with a piece of goldenry. I'm just closing down the lid a little bit to lock in some of that smokiness into the soup. So just about 5 minutes. If you have a charcoal grill at home and your pot can fit in there, by all means you can make this. I'm adding a little more water because it's starting to thicken, and remember, as this sits, it's going to thicken further, so you don't want it to be too thick when you take it down, especially if you're serving it later on in the evening. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Thank you to my hubby for requesting this one. Do make it. Let me know what you think. Leave your requests in the comments. I'll see you in my next video. Be sure to check me on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Facebook, guys. I'm right through. Bye, everyone.